the thought of going back and having another baby on my own was not appealing. It's hard, and there's a lot of guilt associated, which there shouldn't be.
No.
But there is, because you do think, is it something I've done? Should I have done something differently? It took 6 transfers to get a positive.
On this episode of Beyond the Labour Ward, we're going to talk to Julie. Julie herself is a midwife, but the gift she has given to couples is really incredible. Let's hear Julie's story now. Thanks,
Hi.
Julie, for coming today.
No
I really
worries.
appreciate you coming and sharing your story. That's a bit of background. We've worked together for decades now, haven't we?
Yeah,
Julie's
probably close to 20 years.
Julie's a midwife that we work at the same hospital together, and we've been supporting each other for a long time. And but you've got some really good stories to tell.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So let's start firstly. How old's your daughter now?
She's 28.
Okay, right. Yeah. Let's just briefly summarise. How was that pregnancy?
A very uneventful, very
Right.
straightforward,
Good.
normal, low-risk pregnancy.
Yep.
I was quite young.
Right.
And it went, I was overdue,
Right.
so I had to be induced.
Yep.
And I had an emergency caesarean for her birth.
Because
Essentially failure to progress.
Yeah, sure.
So
Didn't
sort of,
dilate.
Yeah, got to sort of 3-4 centimetres, had an epidural, and things weren't progressing. So the decision
Okay.
was made late that night to have a caesarean.
all right, and recovered well, etc. Et
Yeah, yeah.
Were you a midwife then?
No, I wasn't. I was actually a student nurse. I was at uni
Okay,
studying
right.
nursing. My plan was to always be a midwife. That was sort of my goal, but at that stage I was a student nurse.
Sure. Okay. And well, good. And then you obviously that all went well.
Yeah, yeah.
And she grew up, and you're a
Yeah.
midwife, and you're
Yeah,
working.
when she turned 5, I decided to go back to uni and,
Okay, yep.
and study midwifery.
Yep. And then that's when our paths crossed. And
Yes, yep.
So I do remember during some of the years we worked together, you did talk about how you enjoyed being pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed being pregnant. I was disappointed in the birth outcome.
Yeah.
And I think certainly being a midwife opened my eyes to how perhaps things could have been different.
Yeah.
But I was in life meant I wasn't having any more babies. I was single. Brianna was a bit older then, and the thought of going back and having another baby on my own was not appealing. So, that's when I started looking into surrogacy.
Right. So it's not a path many people choose.
No.
Yeah.
I think the latest statistics show there's about 115 babies born in Australia-wide, via surrogacy in a year.
Right.
So, it's not...
Compared to
not-
like the 300,000 or 400,000 that are born.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So well down like the 1 in 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, how old was your daughter when you decided to do this?
When I first started thinking about it, she would have been probably about 18.
Okay.
So I floated the idea with her.
Good,
And initially she said, just have a baby of your own. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll get to be a big sister. And when we talked about the logistics of that, she then said, yeah, no, actually, maybe that's not such a good idea. Because she was at an age where we were, going away on weekends or on holidays. And I said, well, you put a baby in the mix and all that changes. So,
Yeah.
So she was quite open to the idea of surrogacy. But I think at 18, she was also quite blasé and thought,
Sure.
oh, yeah, whatever, mum.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so when you decided that you might like to do this, when it actually happened, how many years would that have been?
In total, probably, it was a long time, probably about 5 years, By the time I actually made a decision to be a surrogate to when I actually fell pregnant and had a baby, I remember my mother saying to me, I suggested to her when I was 38, and she said, well, as long as it's done and dusted by the time you're 40, I think, because otherwise you'll be way too old.
Yeah.
And I was 43 when I gave birth.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, What a great story. So, okay, decide to become a surrogate.
Yep.
How do you find somebody who needs you?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
A lot of people will go down the path of surrogacy because they want to help a sister, a cousin, a friend, someone that's had a lot of infertility issues, or they might want to help a same-sex couple have a baby. So for me, I didn't have any, family connections or friend connections. So I actually met with a midwife and her surrogate, who was also a midwife, and they worked at another hospital.
Right.
And where a friend of mine worked. So I actually sat down with them and spoke to them, and obviously they met because they worked together.
Yeah.
But they told me about a few different websites that you could get onto.
Right.
The website that I actually use doesn't sort of exist anymore.
Right.
And that was where intended parents or people that were looking for surrogates would post their story.
Right.
In Australia, it's actually, you can't approach people and ask them to be your surrogate. I mean, I'm sure if it's your sister or your best friend, it's different, but you can't advertise, so to speak, for a surrogate. So these people would just put their stories out there. So I sort of logged onto this website, and that's where I really started sort of reading people's stories. I sent a few emails, connected with a few people. I met with a few people, and you have to form a relationship. You have to, if it's people that you don't know. So you're sort of not meeting for coffee and then saying, I'll have your baby for you.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a bit of a process in getting to know people. So initially, I say to people, well, I met my intended parents online.
Very good.
That's really what it was.
And did you meet a number of different couples? Are you the first couple you met, that was it?
No, I did meet a number of different couples. I met probably 2 couples that, after a couple of meetings decided that they weren't quite right. And then I did meet a 3rd couple, and we went through the process of counselling and legals, because it's quite a process.
I'm sure.
They already had embryos created, and then I had a phone call, and sadly her relationship with her husband hadn't worked out, so they were having to put a stop to surrogacy and work on their relationship.
Okay, right.
So then I met another couple, and again we did all the counselling, all the legals, which is quite a process. You have to see fertility specialists and IVF doctors. And then we actually got to a point where we were ready to do transfers. So I had 4 transfers with that couple, and they were all unsuccessful. So it was 4 sort of rounds of IVF. And then they decided that they were going to go overseas and look at commercial surrogacy because they needed an egg donor. So the embryos that had been transferred into me were their own embryos. So they weren't working, so they decided to go overseas.
I can't imagine every month. Like, imagine every month they're hanging on for the result to be positive. Is it a positive pregnancy test or not? And even for you, I imagine there was heartache.
It's hard, and there's a lot of guilt associated, which there shouldn't be.
No.
But there is, because you do think, is it something I've done? Should I have done something differently? Was the IVF drug regime I was on correct? Did I take my injections at the right time? Oh, I went to work and did a night duty the day after the transfer. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. So with each negative result becomes a lot of heartache and a lot of guilt, I think, for a surrogate, which it shouldn't, because essentially it does come down to the quality of the embryo. And the IVF specialists all tell you that before you go into it, the counselling that you have, but there is still that element of guilt. And so when that couple decided that they were going to explore commercial surrogacy, we were sort of maybe 3 years, close to being 3 years into it. And I did think, do I keep going? The IVF process takes its toll, both emotionally and physically. So there was a lot of soul searching for me. Do I keep going? And I didn't want to have any regrets. I didn't want to sort of, in 5 years' time, think, gee, I wish I had have explored it. So then I got back online, went through the process and found another couple. And by that stage, there was some some Facebook groups out, some surrogacy support
Yes,
groups,
yes.
which were really good. So there were surrogate only support groups, but also a community page, which a lot of intended parents were sort of posting. So it was a bit more personable than the website that I was using. So I found this couple through the Facebook page,
group, yeah.
and then and it was an instant connection with this couple.
Right.
And they also already had embryos created, and it was actually at the same fertility specialist that I'd
Right.
been using with the other couple.
Okay.
So that was appealing. But it took 6 transfers to get a positive result. So on transfer number 10,
Yeah.
I finally got a positive result.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a long haul. Yeah.
And that's just the beginning
Yeah.
of the journey, because it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been great joy for them
Yes.
and you.
Relief and joy, because at that point they only had one other
Embryo
embryo.
left,
Yeah, yeah. So it was a huge relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it was disbelief, to be honest,
Yeah, right.
because I'd had so many negatives
Negatives.
that I was, I
You take the home test and just test and test yourself again.
And that's the other thing, you get a lot of false positives when
Yep.
you're on the IVF medication. So I learnt very early on not to do any home tests.
Yes. Yeah.
But I would always test on the day that I was due to have bloods.
Yep.
Often you would know beforehand, you get your period, so
Yeah.
you know. But this particular morning, I got up early, I had to go to work. I did a test at home. There was 2 lines that was positive, and I literally just put the test away and didn't look at it again because I just didn't believe that it was finally positive.
Because some of the hormones they use to actually, they have to use hormones to stimulate your ovary to make
Yes.
supporting hormones for the
Yes.
pregnancy.
Yeah,
And the hormone that's easiest to give you is HCG.
correct, yeah.
Because it's readily available. Just find a pregnant woman and just,
Yeah.
filter out her urine. There
Yeah.
you've got her HCG. So that's where you can get the HCG regularly. And of course, if you're giving yourself injections of that, then that's going to give you a positive pregnancy test.
Yes.
So I can understand why.
Which I learnt very early on,
yeah.
that they, you
So
can
that's
get
why
a
the
lot
false
of...
positives.
Yeah, yeah.
So did they do a scan? Is that where they saw it, or
No, so it was, I then went and had
full
a
blood
blood
test,
test.
yeah.
So I had to go to the IVF
Yeah,
clinic
yeah.
and they do bloods. And then I got a call that
strongly
afternoon.
positive then, yeah.
And they said, your results are very positive.
Yeah. I bet you didn't even know what to do. So did you call the surrogate and tell them, or did they call the surrogate?
No, I called their intended parents. Yeah,
Inter-
yeah.
so, yeah, intended parents, that's-
and these are the sorts of things that you discuss in the counselling. So
Yes.
does the IVF clinic call me with the results, or does the IVF clinic call the
them.
intended
That's
parents?
right.
Then do I call the intended parents? And every couple
Yep.
is different. So our arrangement was that they would call me with the news.
Yep.
Whether it be positive or negative, and then I would call the intended
Okay,
parents.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So I called her
Yeah.
at work, and her reaction was I didn't realise she was at work, and her reaction was a little underwhelming.
Right.
But it was because no one knew that she was
doing this at
doing,
work.
Yeah.
So she wasn't allowed to be. She wasn't allowed to be
No, so
excited.
she sort of said, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's great news." And I thought, here I am in tears and
Yeah, yeah.
beside
Yeah,
myself.
right.
And about 2 hours later, I got. She
called
called
back.
me and explained that
Yeah.
she was at work, and she was super excited, and
Yeah.
both her and her husband were on the phone, and it was a really lovely moment. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
So how did that any complications during that pregnancy?
No, so that pregnancy was pretty smooth sailing. I was anemic, so I had an iron infusion, but a little bit of morning sickness, but pretty straightforward.
So now, how old was your daughter?
Oh, at that point, she was 22.
So 22 years later.
23, yeah.
And I'm going to, not trying to be too rude here, but how old were you?
At that point, I was 42.
42.
Yeah, so I was 42 when I was pregnant and birthed just before I was 43.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was 42, yeah.
All right. So I do remember being in the sidelines, just sort of
Yes.
watching this whole
Yes.
process, and
Yeah.
it was a joy to see you grow, and I could feel like it was doing good things for your brain.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was working,
I
and
know,
so
remember.
working, full time on call. It was tough,
And
but
caseload midwife, so it's
Yes.
very hardcore.
yeah. But I think I worked up until I was about 36 weeks. So I was very relieved to be going off on maternity leave.
Now, you've had a previous cesarean section.
Yeah.
And let's just see how this plays out, because there'd be a lot of people who having had a previous caesarean section, who are now had an IVF pregnancy over the age of 40, would choose to have a repeat caesarean section.
Yeah. And a few medical colleagues actually recommended that that be the way I go. And then there were a few others that said, no, if you want to give a VBAC a go, then yeah, you should. And I was very passionate about wanting to have a VBAC. So
I do remember that.
yeah.
It's important everyone knows that I didn't deliver Jules' babies.
No.
I was just there
You were
as
there
a friend.
as a support
person.
And a champion for VBAC. So
100%.
so you were very
I was very glad.
encouraging.
I was very happy to be involved if needed,
Yes,
but I was
yes.
very glad you didn't need me. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now that meant probably weren't going to be induced until did you end up getting induced?
I did, yeah. So they wanted to do an induction at 40 weeks.
Yep.
Now, I did go 10 days over with Rhiannon, so I was sort of thinking maybe an extra week would be good, but yeah, the decision was made to do an induction at 40 weeks.
And how did your the parents of the baby feel about you having a VBAC?
They were excellent, and I think again that's something that you discuss all well before you're even looking at transfers. All those things are discussed in
good.
counselling, and you've got checklist after checklist.
Okay.
So I had said, if I fall pregnant, this is what I want, and I think being a midwife, they completely put their trust in me, knowing that I knew what I was doing.
That's right,
Yeah.
Okay, so induced at term. How did the induction go?
Long.
I was going to suggest that.
Yeah, it was over 2 days. So I was admitted and had a balloon catheter to ripen the
cervix,
for 24 hours, and or sort of about 18 hours, and then that was removed, and then my waters were manually broken, so they broke my waters. That was quite a difficult process because the cervix hasn't really behaved as well as we would have liked.
Uncooperative cervix.
Yes, it was, yes. And then I discussed with the medical team if I could have 24 hours just to see if my body would sort of do its own thing. So I was still in hospital. So 24 hours of, walking around the hospital grounds and curb walking to try and get myself into labour, and nothing happened.
You had the advantage of, because you knew all the staff knew you, and they were 100% behind you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because normally people have an induction, it's like, wait an hour or so, if
and
that's
then,
it, you're into it. But
Yeah.
obviously everyone was just gunning for you. So.
Yeah, and I felt very supported in that way, both from midwives and doctors. So
Because you delivered at the hospital you worked
I
at.
did, yes.
Which I get.
Yes.
Because you know everybody.
Yeah.
And there's a trust.
And I felt comfortable there.
Yeah.
My other thought was, if I end up with a caesarean birth, I know that everything possible has gone into play to try and get me the VBAC that I want. And if I don't get that, at least I know that I'm in, the right environment with the right team
People
in my
and,
corner to help me get that, VBAC. So nothing happened after that. So following morning went around to birthing unit. The Syntocin and drip was started, which was started quite low and slow. And the day was low and slow. I think I ended up with an epidural at about 6 p.m.
Right.
And there was a few discussions about going to theatre, quite a few, because the progress was quite slow. What worked in my favour is the baby was very happy the entire day, so I was monitored and
Fetal heart rate.
Yeah, and the baby was really, really happy, so that certainly helped. And then about 10 o'clock that night, I got my VBAC.
So it's only 4 hours since from the epidural to when you delivered.
Yeah.
Did you find after the epidural things progressed a bit quicker?
Yeah. I think once I had the epidural, everything, that's when things really changed. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So then.
So now this, to me, that's a great story, but that's not the really interesting part.
Yeah.
Because now you've just delivered a baby.
Yeah. That's
And
not mine.
at the moment the baby comes out, the normal thing to do would be to put that baby onto your chest.
Yeah.
So I want you to take me through what actually happened at that moment.
Yeah. So the baby did actually go onto my chest. That was, again, something that we discussed.
Yep.
It was a little girl. So when she was born, she was lifted onto my chest.
Yep.
And then probably the cord was cut by the intended parents.
Yep.
That was I think the dad cut the cord from memory. And then the baby was 10 minutes old, 15 minutes old, and the handover was really important to me. In altruistic surrogacy, you've created that family, you've created that mum, that dad. That handover to me was really important. I didn't want anyone to take that away from me. So that part was probably the most important part. And again, we had discussions that what if the baby was unwell and had to go to the nursery, or what if we did have a caesarean and I was down in theatre? Would the parents come with me? Would they stay? And so we sort of had a scenario for each of the different possibilities, and I really wanted to hand that baby over, so I did. And that was, captured with some beautiful photos of that real raw emotion. And then...
But there were some great emotions.
Yeah, there was not a dry eye.
Yeah.
I had a few support people with me. I had two of my close friends, and my daughter was also there.
Wow.
She had said initially, no, not interested. No, as soon as you start having any contractions, you can go to the hospital. But as the pregnancy sort of progressed, she said, actually, I think I would really like to be there. I had a photographer, and I also had both of the intended parents there. So and then I had my own midwife, and there was probably a few doctors standing out at the door listening. So there was quite a few people in the room, and the emotion was huge. So I handed her over, and then they had cuddles, and then she would have probably been about an hour old, and they gave her back to me for more cuddles. So so she came back to me when she was about an hour old.
What decision did you make about feeding?
I had said from the beginning that I would express, and I would provide some express break to them. So I had done some antenatal expressing and had quite a big stash of colostrum, and then
I'm a huge fan of the antenatal expressing. I think everyone, if you can.
So no, I had quite a stash in the freezer, which I brought into the hospital, and she had that until my milk came in, and then I pumped for about 12 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Got quite a bit of milk.
Had they come pick it up from you or whatever?
Yeah. So either I'd go there or they'd come to me,
And logistically, the baby's born.
Yep.
You're in the hospital.
Yep.
How long did the parents stay in the hospital? Were they in a separate room? Was the baby, I want to know the logistics there.
Yeah. So look, it all comes down to how busy the hospital is at the time.
Yes.
So legally, I am the birth mother,
and
that child is legally mine until a parenting order is put into place, which happens down the track about 4 to 6 months of age. So as far as the hospital is concerned, that baby is my baby, and we are to be admitted to the hospital together and we're discharged together.
Right.
So the parents were admitted as boarders. Now, if the hospital was at capacity and it was too busy, that wouldn't have been possible, but we were lucky that the hospital wasn't too busy, so they actually had their own room and I had my own room. So the baby was in their room with them, and then they would bring the baby into my room for visits. So it was sort of 10 o'clock she was born, so I guess by the time we got around to the ward it was 1 a.m. They went to their room and I went to my and so then the midwives would help them. And I slept all night.
I'll bet. In fact, probably not bad because you didn't have to worry about the baby.
No, I had didn't have to provide any care at all.
So at 43, how do you feel you recovered?
Not too bad, actually. I think I ended up going back to work when the baby was 10 weeks of age.
Right.
So I took my 14 weeks of maternity leave. So I had 4 weeks before, 10 weeks. Looking back, that was too soon.
Right.
Too soon physically, emotionally. I should have had allowed myself more time. difficult when you're working in a caseload and you're trying to get people to
Because
replace
caseload
you.
is the hardest core midwifery service you can provide.
Yeah, because
You're
it's full
basically
on.
like a private obstetrician, but you're worse than that because as soon as that woman has a contraction, you're at the hospital
Yeah, they're calling you. Yeah,
for the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas we are blessed to be able to have you guys look after, and then we just come towards the end.
Yeah.
So I just take my hat off to you how you can do that.
Yeah, it can be long and difficult sometimes, and I
And
think
often people who choose caseload, they're very needy patients.
yes,
I don't
they
think
can
they're not
be.
disrespectful to the patient.
No.
They just need extra
Yes,
support.
yeah,
And that's why
yeah.
they've chosen that model because it's
Yeah,
really
it
good
can
for them.
be. Yep, that's very true, and that's can be the case
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
So, in retrospect, I probably went back to work too soon.
Yeah,
I probably needed some more time off work. I went back to work in my maternity uniform. I was nothing fitted, and
Yeah.
but that's just how it was.
Yeah.
Baby was thriving. I was still expressing, dropping milk to them. They were coming to me, and yeah.
And were they adding formula as well, or was it all breast milk?
No, it
from
was
you?
all breast milk initially.
sure.
Yeah, they didn't actually end up. The reason why I really wanted to express was because I'd had a really good supply
Right.
with Brianna, and I thought, well, if I can express, and I'll do it. So
Yeah.
they didn't have to top up with formula until much later down the track. Yeah.
Wow. And when you came back to work, you would have still been expressing. So just give me 5 minutes, people. I'll just
Yeah,
go
it
to
was
the
a bit of a juggle. Yeah,
room and express for a bit.
Which again, in retrospect, I probably should have weaned off the pump before I went back to work, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all think you're a superhuman anyway for doing it, so
I don't
you
know
probably
about that.
thought yourself as being more of a superhuman than you're probably capable of.
Yeah, well, it was
Yeah.
probably a bit too much, but
Yeah. So, but that wasn't enough though for you, was it?
no, apparently not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stupidly, I decided to do it again.
And what made you do that?
I get asked that question a lot,
Yeah.
and I don't really know if I have the exact answer.
That's okay.
I think the first surrogacy experience was very much about the birth outcome. I was
Yeah.
really focused on that VBAC. It was the highs that you experience having a baby and giving it to their parents was huge.
Right.
And you ride that high for a long
I
time.
bet. Yeah.
That little girl has just turned 6, and the videos,
Wow.
the photos that I get continually fill my heart.
Wow.
There is not a Mother's Day, a birthday, a Christmas that I don't get a message of thanks from those parents. And you think, that is, like, there's no greater gift. It was amazing. It was more than just the birth experience, and I thought, maybe I could do it again. Because it was just such an amazing experience. Those intended parents, their family was complete, so they didn't have any more embryos, and they,
Right.
they weren't exploring surrogacy. So I sat on the idea for a while. I did actually meet a couple when the first baby was born, just in the surrogacy community. As I said, you're riding the high. You're wanting to. You go into these, catch-ups and gatherings and meetings, and you're hearing so many sad stories, and you want to help everybody, but
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not possible. But there was a couple that really resonated with me that I got to know, and at the time the baby was only probably about 3 or 4 months old. My dad was really sick, so really wasn't the right time for me to be sort of exploring surrogacy again. Also, am I just riding the surrogacy high? Am I
yeah.
doing it for the right reasons? I need to sort of get my emotions and everything all together.
Yeah.
And then I started chatting with the mother, and then I learnt that her husband's sister, so her sister-in-law
Yep.
had actually offered to be their surrogate. So
Okay.
I was able to watch them on the outside, and then sort of fast forward 3 years, I did hear a little rumour that they were thinking about having a second baby. his sister lives overseas, so she wasn't able to offer.
So she did the first one.
She did the first one,
Right.
yes, but she wasn't. She was then overseas. So I met up with the mother. As I said, we'd known each other probably on and off and been talking over the years, and we sort of probably had more of a friendship. And I then sat back and thought, could I do it again? Yeah, I reckon I could do it again. So I asked three people that were close to me what
Yeah.
their thoughts were, thinking that they were going to say, "You're mad.
You're nuts.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
Like, this is really crazy idea." All three people said, "If this is something you feel you really want to do, then you should do it."
Yeah.
So I did.
Okay.
So I sort of had some discussions with those parents and then said to the mum, we actually went out for coffee and she said, "I'm going to start looking for a local surrogate and,
Yeah.
maybe if you've heard of anybody." And I said, "Well, I have actually. How about I come out of retirement for you?" And she nearly fell off a chair. She, was quite shocked because she didn't think our coffee date was going to
I'll be that,
go
in that way.
go that way. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So were there any dramas with the embryo transfer?
No, so they had an embryo. They had one embryo, and so having had 10 failed, transfers earlier in my previous, I was very nervous that they had one embryo, and it worked.
Wow.
First turn, first go, yeah. And it's strange because I kind of just knew a couple of days after the transfer.
Yep.
I just thought, I just feel like this has worked. I don't know. There was something greater voice saying to
Yes,
me, "No, this is a good thing." Yeah. So and it was positive.
And all just proceeded well?
Yes. So, I did the wee on the stick that morning and got a positive result, went and had the blood.
Did you hide it away again like last time?
Yeah, no, well, not quite as much. So it was interesting because the timing worked that the transfer actually fell on Brianna's birthday.
Right.
So that was quite special. So the day I was birthing 26 years earlier was the day that she was, the day I was having this transfer. And I was flying to Brisbane the day I was meant to have this blood test.
Right.
So the parents had said, "Drive to our place, we'll drive to the airport." It's, easy. So drive to us, we'll go and get the bloods done and then we'll take to the airport.
Right.
And then I was thinking, what if they are, whether the result is positive or negative, this isn't news I really want to tell them over the phone. I'd really like to deliver the news face to face this time after, the first time it was over the phone. So I did the test at home. I actually did 3 tests at home that morning because I was convinced the first one was wrong.
Right.
And then surprised them with it. So when I went to be taken for a blood test, I surprised them and said, "Actually, I've already done a test and it's positive." So they were overjoyed and so had the blood test.
Yep.
I flew to Brisbane. I then got the phone call from the IVF clinic.
Yep.
Yes,
It's positive.
levels are good, positive.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
So now how did Brianna cope with all this second time?
She was great.
Yeah.
I think being 5 years older, having seen me go through it before, maturity kicked in, and she was my biggest support.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
she
great.
was next to the intended parents. I think she was sort of, the first time it was like, Mum's having a baby, Mum's pregnant.
Sure.
Whereas, she really stepped up this second time. Yeah, she was great.
So how many years ago was the second?
The baby was born in August last year. So
not even a year old.
Yeah, she's about 9 months old. Yeah.
Again, did you express your breast milk?
I did, yes. The mother did induced lactation, so she had done that the first time and been quite successful.
Right.
So she attempted it for the second time. It's a very hard regime to do.
Just to explain to the people at home, induced lactation is not something you just turn on. It's like you just press a button and breast milk appears.
Yes.
It's about stimulating.
And taking hormones.
And then stopping the hormones to try and trigger it. And
pumping regularly too.
And there's little supply lines that can be part of it. And it's a really complex, challenging process, but it can sometimes work for some people.
And it's more challenging when you have a toddler running around.
Yes.
So, you know, that finding that time to sit on a pump and you know, when you don't have a brand new baby, because you start from about 36 weeks, it's a bit easier. But once there's a baby there, you feed the baby, but you also express.
Exactly
so
right.
I had said, no, I wasn't going to express this time. I decided that after expressing for 12 weeks last time, I didn't want to do it this time. But something changed on day 3, day 4 when my milk came in, and I
Right.
thought, no, I just have to.
It's for the
So
baby.
I went and got a pump and pumped for 9 weeks.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is a fantastic story.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
It
would
was a different pregnancy the second time around.
Yep.
Much harder.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think it was because you were 5 years older?
Yeah, absolutely. And when other people that I know in the surrogacy community
Yeah.
come and talk to me, my advice is don't be 40 plus.
Yeah, right.
Do it, do it earlier. Don't wait,
Well,
because it's much harder.
Yeah,
much difficult, more difficult pregnancy.
Yeah.
And more, well, the labour was certainly more intense. I wasn't induced this time.
no, good.
Yeah,
And would have progressed a bit quicker.
it certainly did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take us through that.
I started contracting at home, probably
Yep.
the night before, but of
Yep.
course, typical midwife in
Yeah,
complete
just wait.
denial, and
Yep.
just thought, no, I'm not. This isn't labour. Went about my day on the Tuesday. Decided I had to strip my bed and change the sheets, so
Right.
of course did that. Was home alone, struggling, contracting, still in denial that it was
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
I then eventually called Brianna home from work and said, you need to come home. Harrowing drive into the hospital.
I'll bet.
I don't think she's recovered from that yet. It was not a nice drive, and we only live 5 minutes from the
Right,
hospital,
yes.
so that was tough. Every staff member that was on shift that day knew I'd arrived because
Right.
I roared in there like a lion. I was not quiet.
Yeah.
It was very intense, and the baby was born 2 hours later, so
Right,
it
yeah.
was quite a different experience
Yeah.
to the 2-day saga that I'd had previously. So very different.
My wife described her second labour as 17 hours worth of contractions in 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, it's so much more intense.
Yeah.
Your body's still doing the same work, it's just
Yes,
in a shorter period of
that's right,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. And again, the handover was really important to me. That was something, again, we discussed. But probably what was different this time is that I did have a big PPH, so I had a big bleed this time.
Wow.
I lost about 2 litres of blood. And
You're doing all the things you need to do as a midwife to experience all these things.
Yeah. I
Wow.
was happy not to experience it though.
Yeah, sure. Oh, dear.
But the dynamics in the room shifted very quickly after the baby was born. I did have the baby
Yeah.
on my chest, but the dynamics really, and I knew something was not
Yeah.
quite right. So I just looked at the intended parents and said, I need to keep this baby with me. I just need to hold on to her. And so I probably held her for 50 minutes,
Right.
before I felt ready to hand her over.
Yep.
Which, while everybody else was, busy,
Doing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were sort of just sitting up
Yep.
with me, staring at their baby.
Right.
And I just felt like I needed her with me. I wasn't ready to hand her over until sort of things in the room settled down. And they were very understanding about that.
Did you need a blood transfusion?
I did need a blood transfusion. So I scored extra days in hospital. Yeah, I had a blood transfusion. And which in hindsight, I really didn't want to have a blood transfusion, but I instantly, within about 4 hours,
It's an
I felt
instant recovery.
Yeah, I felt so much
If you
better.
have an iron infusion, you're like still tired for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A blood transfusion,
Yeah.
although it seems traumatic to do
Yeah.
that,
But I could get out of bed without feeling like
Exactly.
I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really a game changer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thankful that they organised,
Good.
for that to happen.
How long did you take off work?
I ended up with 5.5 months off work. So I had to work until I was about 38 weeks this time, just because my replacement wasn't organised.
Yep.
But I had a lot of excess annual leave, so I took maternity leave and annual leave. So I ended up having 6 months off, and that was it was actually really good because I was able to really properly recover. I went on a holiday with Brianna, and sort of just regrouped with her. This is now over. Surrogacy's done. With this baby's healthy and happy and living with her parents, and so now we can regroup and just focus on my life and So it was really good having that 6 months off. Yeah.
So, the moment you handed this baby over, I can only imagine there'd be a mixed emotions. You've just spent 9 months or 8.5 months growing this little person. And just take us through what was going through your mind at that point.
One of the most common questions I get asked when I tell people that I'm, pregnant and having a baby, but it's not my baby, I'm having a baby for someone else, is how can you give your baby away? How can you do that? What you have to realise is that you enter surrogacy knowing that it's not your baby. It's not your embryo. This baby hasn't been created with your genetic DNA. This baby, you're doing surrogacy to have a baby that belongs to the parents. So in pregnancy, you do connect to the baby. There is an emotional pull. I mean, obviously, you're monitoring movements. Your body's changing. Your hormones are changing. So there is definitely a connection and a pull, but it's a connection and a pull to a baby that you know is not yours. So when that baby is born, the emotions are probably a little bit different to what they would be if the baby was yours, because you know that you've just birthed a baby that isn't yours, that is going to the parents. So did I grieve? No. Okay. Did I feel like I missed the baby? No. And I think because you enter it and you do a lot of counselling beforehand knowing that that baby's not yours, that's your heart. Your body, on the other hand, or that's your brain. The body, on the other hand, doesn't realise that that baby's not yours. So you've had the body changes, you've had the bleeding, the pain, the full breasts, all of those body changes, the hormonal changes that come with having a baby. And so it's kind of a little bit the brain versus the body, and it's a bit of a battle. So I guess probably the trickiest thing is when you leave the hospital, because your body says you've had a baby, but you walk home to an empty house, there's no baby there. So having a plan set in place for when you're going to see the baby again is really important. So we had an extended length of stay in the hospital, so it wasn't a case of, well, here's the baby's 4 hours old, I'm going home, you're going home. So, you have 2 or 3 days in the hospital and you're with that baby a lot, so your body's getting those cuddles, your hormones are being fed. And then it's really important to have a plan. So, and that plan might be if you have parents that perhaps are interstate, that they have an Airbnb close to you, so that they're, close to you. My parents were both from Sydney, so I was very fortunate that they were able to come and visit. And, we left the hospital on one day and saw the baby the next day. So it was really important to have that plan, because that's okay, I'm home now, but I'm going to see the baby tomorrow. They're coming at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and they'll be here. And then you spend several hours with the baby, and then they go home, but they're coming back again tomorrow. So you've got that, you know that there's a plan in place.
Because I can only just imagine having a baby inside, that's the most intimate relationship you can ever have with a person. As far as being a mother and a baby, it's pretty unique. And then to just say goodbye.
But I guess that right from the beginning.
I guess so.
So you're not. It's not like a baby that you have that all of a sudden, when that baby's born, they're going to, you turn around and someone says, oh, we're taking that baby off you now,
Yeah, yeah.
and we're going to give it to another set of parents. Even before conception, you know that baby is not going to be yours. So the emotions surrounding that are different. And I have met a lot of surrogates, and I have got, there's a group of us that have become really, really close. They're sort of like my surro sisters.
Yes.
And it's funny because we all feel the same.
Yep.
It's just how it is. Emotional wise, before you even go into it, we just sort of just know that that's not your baby, and that does change how things feel after that baby's born.
Right.
Yeah, it's managing the hormones and the body changes and what your body's expecting. Your body is expecting to make breast milk. Your body is expecting to bleed.
Yeah.
All those things that you get post a baby, and juggling that. Yeah.
So when you're in labour or even during the pregnancy, say something a little bit unexpected come up. Did you feel you were obliged to talk to the parents?
Yeah. So being the pregnant woman,
Yep.
legally, all the decisions about the pregnancy
Yep.
and about the baby are actually mine.
Right.
So one of the sort of biggest issues is around termination.
Right.
So say, for example, you've had some prenatal testing done and there's a abnormality.
Yep.
It's my decision what happens, but it's not my baby.
No.
So
the
that's
complexity.
so it can become quite complex. That's why it's really important to have that counselling
Yep.
and have all of those discussions in place. So say, for example, religiously I wasn't going to have a termination.
Yep.
But the intended parent said to me, well, if we found out that there was a chromosome abnormality or
Yep.
something, we would elect to have a termination. Perhaps that's not the right intended parents for me.
Yep.
So these are the
Okay,
discussions that all have to
yes.
take place
Yeah.
beforehand,
Yep.
so that you're on the same page and you know where you're at. And then if all those hard topics are discussed even before you're pregnant, if they do happen to arise, you've already had those discussions.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all the decision is mine. If I decided that I wanted to have a home birth, for example,
Right.
again, that might be something that we discuss. It should be discussed right at the beginning, even before pregnancy. If those intended parents weren't comfortable with the thought of me having a home birth, maybe they need to find, look for another surrogate. So all those discussions take place beforehand.
So it's pretty extensive counselling.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's very extensive counselling. And then obviously things do crop up as the pregnancy progresses. I had terrible morning sickness with the second pregnancy, which I hadn't experienced in my other two pregnancies. So I needed more support around that. And, the parents really stepped up and helped with certain things. So there are unexpected things that crop up, and you need to, have really clear communication.
And I understand in Australia you cannot be paid to be a
That's
surrogate.
correct. Yeah.
But what about things like medical expenses?
Yeah. So
Scans and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So the intended parents are responsible to pay for all pregnancy-related costs.
Right.
So whether that's doctor's bills, ultrasounds, blood tests, prenatal vitamins, iron infusions, new clothes,
Sure.
new bras, pads, all of the things that would be related to the pregnancy is at the cost of the intended parents.
Okay, radio.
I was really sick and working full time, so the second set of intended parents actually got a cleaner for me, and they paid for that. So a cleaner
great.
came in once a fortnight, and they paid for
Practical help.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just the pregnancy related things; it's things that that you can no longer do because of the pregnancy. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So they pay for all of that. Yeah.
I guess, it's an easy thing to ask, but if there's a lady or a couple that are thinking of surrogacying, becoming
I don't know if
surrogates.
that's a word,
Would there be a take-home message?
To the surrogate,
Yeah.
if you think you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's apart from my own daughter,
Yeah,
one of my life's greatest achievements.
sure.
Yeah. You can't describe how it feels to sit back and see what you've done for that family, not just the couple, the uncles, the aunties, the grandparents, the other sisters. I got sent a photo from my first set of parents recently, and it was, they also have an oldest, they have a first child through surrogacy, and then I gave birth to their second child.
Yep.
So there's a photo of the two girls sitting at the beach, sort of on a rock, with their arms around each other. And you sort of reflect on that and think, yeah, you've created a sister as well. You know, you've not just it's not just a child. It's a grandchild. It's a niece. It's a sister. You know, so it's hard to put into words how amazing it feels. And I'm very lucky that I have got two sets of parents that are, you know, if I called them up tomorrow and said, oh, can we organise a catch up, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
I get photos, messages, constant, you know, loaded with thanks and, you know. I got a little video from the first little girl that I birthed. Thank you for giving life to me, she said when it was her birthday.
Right.
And it just fills you with so much joy. It's beautiful. So I'm lucky that I have the relationship that I do with the parents and these little girls. Yeah. So yeah, do it.
Great. Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. It's very interesting.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having me.
just the complete story of being a midwife and then engaging in this, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of people ask, will I do it again? And the answer is a definite no.
Yeah.
I've
what
done it twice.
To quote Prince Philip, you've done your bit.
Yes, there you go. Yes, I feel I have.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.